Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Self-Care, the Female Solution Block Talk radio show. And I'm your host, Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. And I am so excited to share with you that we have a very special guest today. His name is Brian Wall. And he and I are going to talk about food as your mood. He's a licensed mental health and addiction specialist. And I'm actually not going to talk more, but more importantly, I'm going to bring him on. So give me 1 second and let's see. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Jodi, how you doing?
I am doing dynamite. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you for being here. You know, kindred spirits here.
Right?
Believe is food, as your medicine, which is awesome.
It's so true. It is so true. What goes in goes. What is it? Mom used to say, what goes in comes out, or something that effect. That used to just be annoying, but as I get older, I realize how incredibly relevant it is. And I got to pay attention because otherwise I don't get up as easy in the morning. So it's important.
Tell me about it. Toxins in, toxic out. I mean,
it's exactly right.
Pure in, pure out, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So today, we want to talk about food as your mood. But how did you get into this, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, that's a good question. Haven't been asked that question in a long time. It's early on. I was married previous. My wife passed away from cancer, and she was diagnosed in approximately 2009, and then spent about 4 years in and out of treatment. In remission, not, etc., metastatic. The whole process happened, and finally took her life in September of 2013. But through that whole process, her and I both did a mass amount of research on nutrition and what you eat and how it affects the body and brain health, and just learned a great deal during that time to be a support to her. And that just really ignited a love, a passion for just general brain health and how we take care of our bodies and how that's a benefit. So from there, just kind of spawned into what it is now, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. It's the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
And what's awesome, it's not awesome that you went through all this, but I've never met anyone who's successful who hasn't had a significant story, a significant event that brought them to where they are today.
Yeah.
And people can choose, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so what's awesome is that you chose to look beyond your current reality, and you explored what you didn't know already, which is amazing.
Right.
And that is inspirational in its own.
Yeah.
In its own light. You found a silver lining, and now you're educating the world. And now you're educating the world. Who's back there, Brian?
I've got a 3-year-old. My apologies. Come here, Indy.
Come on over.
Here.
Come on.
I knew if we invited her, it would scare her right back upstairs. So it worked perfect.
Okay.
No.
Hey, I'm all about more the merrier. So
I know you are. I love that about you. No, she's just getting up this morning, and Mom took our oldest one to school to let me get started with you. So she's at the top of the stairs giving me the look of death this morning.
Daddy, where are you?
That's it. That's totally it. Thanks for being flexible. No, it really is. It is one of those things with me that, like when my previous wife got sick, I don't know if you've seen a lot of my trilogy series on LinkedIn, hashtag Be Real with Brian. And I love information and knowledge and just gaining wisdom. And I'm always hungry for that. I'm a big believer in knowledge is power. And so when my previous wife got sick, I made a big deal about just delving into research, anything and everything I could find. Some of it was not pretty, but a lot of it, most of it was very helpful regardless, and really helped to educate me and her on how to alleviate some of the pains she was feeling. And then and I think had some benefits in complementing some of the chemotherapy she was receiving. She did some vitamin C treatments as well. That was part of our research, and we realized, wow, this could really have a positive effect. So we kind of switched over to that vitamin C being a complement, and so that was part of the process too. But just learning and adjusting accordingly. That was our treatment plan, you know.
Yeah, and that's amazing. So here's what, and I'll share, and then I'd like to delve into actually something I think that you're probably going to be pretty fond of
All
talking.
right.
But so I was the caretaker for my mother when she had cancer. She had ovarian cancer, and we didn't know any of this. And that's not when I found out, right? But you know, I was the person who followed at that time. I didn't even know enough to ask these questions, and neither did she. As a matter of fact, she had little Snicker bars buried all throughout the house because she wanted her sugar fix.
Right. Got to get her sugar fix.
And we know, you and I both know, I don't even have to ask you this because I know who you are.
Yeah.
What sugar will do for a cancer patient, right? Yeah. We also know what it will do for your mood, for your stress, and all of those things.
Yeah.
It's a silent killer.
It is.
When I finally, my health journey was reversing I was on 17 different medications, all at the same time.
Wow.
Nearly died in 2013.
Wow.
Reversed well over 19, probably. I have a list because I don't retain that because it's not something I aspire to.
Right.
I actually have to pull up my list when I want to know what I had.
So what was I on?
What was I on? What were all the conditions?
Right. What was I on that for?
Right. And I was 234 pounds. So I lost, a significant amount of weight. But the thing was, and I seem to have all my genes going on. I'm not sure why, but I'll put it on Do Not Disturb. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So the thing is that, this is the one. Do Not Disturb. There we go. So when I started on my health journey, I started watching the docuseries, The Truth About Cancer, with Ty Bollinger.
Right.
And I was not diagnosed at that time because I had all over body pain. I mean, I couldn't even move. I would lay down on a bed, or on a couch after eating and couldn't move for 20 minutes. It was periodic paralysis. So I had to look at the specific, what was I eating that caused me to not be able to move for 20 minutes.
Right.
So do we need to bring her on? That's what
I'm trying to get her down. Andy, come here, honey. Come downstairs and come to me. Come here. Andy, come here and I will help you. Okay, come here. I got a blanket. You can lay under my blanket.
There you go.
Come on. Mommy will be home in a minute, honey. This is real life stuff, right?
Well, but this is what people are going through, right?
Yeah.
They have to still support their children, and now they're learning how to multitask by working and being with the kids. So I think this is actually perfect.
Yeah. Andy, come here, honey. Here, let me go get her. I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Jodi.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk about oils that de-stress. So while we're waiting for Brian to come back, I'm going to talk about when you're in a stressful situation, what can you use to support yourself? And all plant-based. One of the oils I like is called past tense. And past tense is exactly what it sounds like. And it comes, take the tension and put it in the past. And basically, you take the roller ball, you roll it in the palm of your hand and inhale it. Now, this is not past tense. This is in tune because it's early in the morning. We want to make sure that we're in tune. But when you inhale an oil, it takes about 20 seconds for it to get into your brain and into your limbic system and into your hippocampus. So, and 30 seconds for it to completely get into your bloodstream. So, and that's really powerful information to know because this is a really healthy way to support your emotional well-being and your mental acuity. And I said 20 seconds to your brain, 30 seconds to your bloodstream. Now I want you to consider this. What happens when you expose yourself to something that's toxic? It still takes 20 seconds to your brain and 30 seconds to your bloodstream. So if you're using things like Lysol or other household cleaners that have chemicals in it, it's still the 20-30 rule, 20 seconds to your brain and 30 seconds to your bloodstream. So if you're going to put something in your bloodstream, make it clean and let it help your body heal itself. Welcome back.
I am. She has a warm baba. Life is terrific.
And a baba, I'm guessing, is the bottle.
That it's the baby's coffee in the morning. That's what it is. If she doesn't get her warm baba, man, there's gonna be some trouble.
What I did while you were gone to bring you into the fold.
Yeah, thank you.
Talked about stress, and when you're in a stressful situation, how do you support yourself? So I said there's an oil called past tense, and you can putting the tension in the past, right?
Yeah.
So you apply it to the palm of your hand, and you breathe in. Now I'm not
very cool,
but this is in tune, and it's early in the morning, is what I said. So this makes me more in tune. I got an oil for it.
That's great.
But let's go back to sugar, shall we? Because we were talking about the health journey, and your wife had cancer, and my mom had cancer, and I didn't even know to ask. But it wasn't until my body shut down that I researched what I thought would be the worst thing to have, which is cancer, and decided to live an anti-cancer lifestyle.
Right.
So, and I think that when we talk about how we fuel the body and support the body for emotional well-being, we have to talk about sugar. We have to talk about toxins.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going to let you take it from here.
Yeah.
You tell the listening audience, and if anybody wants to call in, let me just do it. So we've got the radio and we've got YouTube and Facebook all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody wants to call in and talk to Brian or ask me a question, the number is 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak, and we'll see it light up on the board over here to my right. You get to talk to Brian Wall.
Awesome. Yeah. So, it's really interesting to me is that if we work out, for instance, and you pull a muscle in your leg or something, you feel that the next day and you put something on it, you stretch it, heat, ice, whatever it is, some sort of treatment plan unfolds from there, right? Mm-hmm. But oftentimes I notice that our bodies systematically react, communicate the same way to us about all aspects of our body. We just have to listen. I really believe that. And it's really interesting to me as people, oftentimes we don't listen until it gets to that point of how badly raised cortisol levels because of stress have affected our body and breaking down systems. And now I have cancer and got to do something. Right. And not taking care of ourselves ongoing. It's, the yard looks great if you cut it, but I don't know too many people that cut their yard once every 3 months.
Thank you. Well,
right.
And let me go back to listening.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things I want to say about it. One, yeah, I think that you're right. People aren't listening to their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also not listening to other people.
Yes.
Okay. And they can choose to be present for these people and listen, and choose to be present for yourself and listen. It's kind of like if you're driving down the road and a light goes off in your car.
Great example.
A Post-it note on the light and hope that it goes away.
That's so true.
Like,
I don't see you.
Yeah, right. The thing is, it's going to continue to show up.
Exactly.
Or not.
The light bulb is going to do what the light bulb does.
That's hilarious.
Right?
Really?
It is.
Oh.
That's a great example.
So what? Sorry, I'm losing it this morning. What light bulb is going off in your body?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What system is in trouble, and we learned that from, brain fog, fatigue, general confusion or increased stress, and our eating habits decrease. Self-care goes down the hole. We don't take good care of ourselves. Yeah, every aspect of what you have managing or operating as far as it goes to manage yourself, when those are fluctuating and they're not maintained, that should be a good sign. So for instance, with me, I like to work out a couple times a week. I try to make it 3, sometimes tougher. Life happens, right? If I am, because I know for me, if I work out 3 times a week, it's easier to work out 3 times a week every week. If I just drop one time, that delay between workouts adds to the I want to lay on the couch or I want to do anything but work out, right? So whenever I drop in that area and I'm not able to maintain working out, I sincerely have these conversations with myself. Like, why am I missing so much this week? What other area of my life is off balance, is keeping me from self-care, and how can I make some adjustments to get back on track? Because before you know it, going from working out 3 times to 1 time, that before you know it, it's 3 months and you've worked out 10 times instead of 40 or whatever.
Right.
And that's important.
And, I feel the same way about meditation, right? So I need to meditate daily. That's what, and I exercise, not enough, but meditation for me, connecting to God, is for me and so important. And here's the thing, neither one is right or wrong, right? It's finding what works for you, in the listening audience.
Right.
And let me just, let me ask you a question. So what about, I forgot what my question was. Oh, boy.
Oh, I bet it was good.
Sure was. We're having a good time today.
That's it.
Well, so let's talk about foods that you think, where do you want to start? Foods that make you happy or balanced? Or do you want to talk about the foods that are harming our body first? What do you think?
Let's start with the bad and end with a strong good. How about it?
I love it. That's
all right. So here's the biggest thing I learned when my wife was sick, is that one of the only things cancer cells need to survive is sugar.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
If you got a lot of sugar going on, It is a beautiful place for cancer cells to hang out and thrive. They're all laying out by the beach and they're just having a good old time, right?
Mhm.
We don't want to provide them a vacation resort,
Yeah, I mean,
right? So
exactly.
yeah, so we want to make sure that we're managing, we're regulating our insulin. Really, is what it boils down to, and that when that's not done well, then that's when the inflammation and stress levels rise. And so a lot of studies out there, research studies have proven that refined sugars actually impair brain functioning. And that's a big thing for me. I'm by far not a nutritionist. I'm layman at best, but
I
yeah,
am.
exactly. That's why I love this matchup. I love it.
I
Um,
know.
and I'm learning so much from people like you, but I love the brain health part. And it's so crazy how both of them go so hand in hand in so many areas. So uh, these are a couple things that I did some looking up and kind of collected my own list of things that I've learned in hopes that it's helpful for folks. But we know that the sugar is going to raise and lower fluctuating sugar levels is going to create mood symptomology. We found that is to be the case, especially sugar. And even, with the lows being in the depression realm and the highs being more in that manic, maybe bipolar mood disorder type state. And so some of the worst foods for our brain would be the sugary drinks, energy drinks and stuff out
The
there.
energy drinks are awful.
Yeah.
So Brian, I had texted you just the other day because I don't think you knew this. So I was misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Now, I want to tell you in brief
Hmm.
my diet. So I was a gymnast and I had ding dongs and cupcakes
Oh my gosh.
and Twinkies before a workout. Now I had ripped abs. So anybody looking at me goes, "Oh, she is healthy."
Hmm.
So I was a skinny fat person. So all the organs are fat. My brain is on fire.
Yes.
So of course, nobody asked me what my diet was.
Yeah.
The same doctor I had for 20 years never asked me about my diet. And so, but I can tell you, if you're having a high sugar diet and you also have pain, you need to be looking at the sugar, right?
Yes. Yep. Very
Sugar's
important.
the culprit.
Yeah.
So, and I think that a lot of people, and I don't know if you agree, and this is your area of expertise.
Hmm.
My belief is that there's a lot of people that are misdiagnosed having bipolar or schizophrenia because of the food that they eat. And when you remove the food, the symptoms go away.
Yeah.
Is that been your experience?
It has been. And that's it's and I actually, I have a history of addiction myself and being in recovery now. And an important kind of runs with what you're talking about is, from the time I was 15 till the time I was early 40s, I was diagnosed with a mood disorder on medication for it. And when I stopped using, all symptoms subsided completely.
Yeah.
To this day, and for the last 3 years since I found that out and stopped the medication, I don't meet any symptom criteria for really any diagnosis. I all the stuff that I had in the past was all they call it substance induced, but there's literally no way that if I drink or use something in my body and it affects my body, my brain in that way, how is it possible that food doesn't do the same thing? That's impossible. Why,
Okay.
how would there possibly be a difference?
So,
Right?
right. So so thank you. First of all,
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. I want to make a point about something that we're going to repeat it throughout this show in case
Okay.
somebody just catches it now or doesn't catch it later. you may have a healthy diet. You may be eating what you think is a healthy diet,
Right.
vegetables, right? Let's say you're vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my studies show, let's put it this way. If you are eating vegan, you still are pulling a lot of the toxins out of your body, because when you're eating a whole food vegan diet,
Mm-hmm.
not processed food vegan diet, um, you want to look at lettuce like scrubbing bubbles.
Okay.
Okay, so remember the scrubbing bubbles you would clean the toilet or the bathtub with?
The commercial, right? With the
Yeah,
little scrubbies that run around,
yeah, and it gets all scrubbly up, bubbled
right?
up,
Right.
and it kind of pulls all the dirt off of the tub, right? Well, that's what vegetables do. That's what fiber does.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's like scrubbing bubbles in your intestines and pulls all the toxins out. So if you're eating a conventional diet and choose not to afford an organic or responsibly produced diet,
Right.
you're still better off than most of the population. Okay? But when you are eating processed foods and and even meats and vegetables, and they're conventional and they have all these toxins in it, your body doesn't recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets stored in your fat cells and it messes with the brain.
Yeah.
It actually skips. So for those people who have these um, brain farts like I did this morning, it wasn't a toxin. I think I just connected to the divine or something, and he had
Ah,
a message for me.
right.
And I had to take time out. Okay. So, but maybe I did get exposed to a toxin. I don't know.
Yeah. You never know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, you can breathe it in going down.
Right. Exactly.
So the point being is that if you're not consuming foods that are free of chemicals,
Right.
and it's just like a chemical addiction. See, if you go back to the 1960s, do you know the story about Dr. Pepper, the founder of Dr. Pepper?
I don't, and I want to hear it.
Oh.
Tell me.
Wait to hear this. Because it talks to the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for people who have friends who have addictions, or you have an addiction yourself, listen up. So in the 60s, Dr. Pepper was created, or it was like the 50s or 60s. So don't quote me on the exact date, right?
Yeah.
So it was created, and the man who created Dr. Pepper put in the exact amount of sugar to have you crave more. So it was addictive quality. He actually created a formula for that. The formula was so successful. This almost brings me to tears. The formula was so successful to create addictions for people. He sold the formula to every food manufacturer in the world.
Wow.
Doesn't that make you pause?
Yeah.
So he knew how to mess with the brain. So when you have an addiction to sugar or addiction to anything, I'm going to tell you, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It was put in the cigarettes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's put in your food supply. And so Brian and I are here to show you the way out.
Yeah. Yeah, when my family and I are, excuse me, going to be moving down to Florida here in the next 60 days.
Awesome.
Yes, very excited about that. Beyond excited. It's been more than a year in the planning, and all has come together, and God is good. And I just can't eat. I'm so overwhelmed by goodness and grace and favor and mercy and guidance. And I'm overwhelmed by how incredibly well he takes care of me. That is my God, and it works for me. I'll move on. So
no, I love it. I'm
beside myself in how his big like for my life and all that he's doing, and chances to hang out with people like you, and so much that's going on is just It blows my mind. It really blows my mind.
Yeah,
Um,
God is so I don't know if you know this about me. I have it on, not that everyone looks at my profile. Uh,
right.
so I'm a medical intuitive and I'm also a shaman.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that.
yeah, so God is big in my life.
Yeah.
Like um there's not much I do without him.
Amen. Amen.
Um,
You know what? And that leads right into what I was about to say.
please.
You really got to figure out to the most basic element of who you are, and that combination, that formula that creates the most optimal Brian, right? And
Mhm.
so when I moved to a new area, you got to find a doctor and a dentist and a mechanic, and you got to find all these things that you may or may not need at any point in time. But when you do need them, you want to make sure that you're going to folks that you can trust, right? So whenever I go to, and this may sound cliche, but I think it's a good start and doesn't always end up good.
Mhm.
But when I look for instance, I'm from North Carolina. This is a big thing when you're a used car dealer, for instance. If you have the sign of the fish on your signage outside of the store, that's blatantly, I'm a Christian. I'm going to treat you well. I'm not going to take advantage of you, right? Doesn't always mean that's going to be the case. I'm not that naive. However, I think it's a good start to separate maybe from the others, and sometimes in a good and bad way, right? So sometimes it reveals who really are the cutthroat folks, and they're just using that sign of fish to make money to draw people in. I get that part too, but for the most part, it's done me well. So, and then when I go to find a mechanic, for instance, I prefer family-owned businesses. So if it's not a family-owned business, I don't take my car there, because I think cars. I'm in the local community. That's where I live. I want to support the local community. So a mechanic, that's my hometown, right? And Target and all that, I can go do those big box store kind of stuff. But when it comes to certain things, I want the locals taking care of me, and I want to take care of the local, because that's my home, that's my village, that's where my tribe's at, that's where I'm raising my kids. And so it's the same thing when it comes to the body. So when you are, it's so important to find those things that you're putting in your body that are speaking loudest to that formula, that special key, that lock in your life. And I got a question for you, Jodi. I've always wondered this, and I kind of think there's something to it, but you probably know this book. It was years ago, and it talked about are you a scavenger, or are you a there was all these different types of personality types. And if you're a scavenger, for instance, and you're trying not to eat meat, well, your body type needs meat. And
Oh, I think I know the concept. I don't know the book. Can I
yeah,
take us to commercial for a
yeah,
moment
yeah,
and
let's do it.
back to the scavenger? And
Okay.
um, let me just see. I know that we're having a little bit of an issue here, but we'll see
Okay.
how it goes. Yeah, these commercials are not, the volumes aren't up. So we're just going to go with a different TV commercial.
Okay.
Or I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata. Okay.
We all say we would like to be wealthy, but wealth isn't determined by how much money you have. Wealth is determined by your power to define what money is. The dictionary defines money as something used as a way to pay for goods and services and to pay people for their work. So how would you like to have access to an unlimited source of money? Money that is not taxed by the government. Money that increases as you share the opportunity with others. Money that you can use to pay for goods and services and pay people for their work. I'm talking about Bitcoin. It's the future of independent wealth building. Bitcoin is the new money that you control. Get started building your wealth. Call 312-849-3456. That's 312-849-3456. Everything you need, what your body needs, is found in nature. So Suson Essentials doesn't do it any other way. Suson Essentials provides your employees and individuals access to over 20,000 nutritional products, and they are direct to your door. Because Suson Essentials is certified in plant-based healing, we're permitted to offer you the best nutritional supplements on the planet. They're non-GMO and sustainably produced, and we take the guesswork out for you. Let Suson Essentials help you take control of your health today. Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Delta Speak for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit DeltaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Delta Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Delta Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
We are back.
So the scavenger, you heard of this, right? That whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Is it kind of like the eating for your blood type? Is that?
Yes, that's it, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found that to be pretty accurate for me. I try to eat organic and stuff that doesn't have chemicals and antibiotics and it's cage free and that kind of thing. So I generally, like I said, I'm not a nutritionist, but I try my best to make good decisions, and I'm really careful about how much sugar I consume. I try to be really careful about that. I put some in my coffee, but generally throughout the day I stay away from it, and working out and all the other things that surround all that. But I found for me that when I cut meats out of my diet, I literally feel like I'm going crazy.
Oh, me too.
I feel like I'm going psychotic. Like I need to be checked in and get some professional help. It's not a fun place to be. My brain is like, it's literally like I feel my brain is starving. And I just had some meat last night. Celebrating some things that have come up in the path to get down to Florida. And so as a family, we were celebrating. So I got a really nice meal, and it was meat. And I went in, I literally walked in the bedroom. My wife was laying down. I was just like, that was so good. I cannot tell you how energized I feel right now. Like I really should eat more meat. It felt so, I just had, my energy levels were noticeably raised a bit. And I felt my brain was more alert, and so I noticed that regardless of how I cook the meat, I can get my own meat from the store and put it on the grill, and it's the same effect. So I say all that to say that that's, for me, that's I've realized that's part of my key. Without meat, things don't look very good. With meat, obviously there's a balance, but
yeah, I want to bring something up.
yeah.
So first of all, I'm the same way. I'm not a vegan. I need my meat.
Yes.
But some of the listeners know that I grew up as a Jew and converted to Christianity in 2017.
Okay.
And there's a story around that. It wasn't like a quick conversion or anything. But let me tell you a story about growing up as a Jew.
Yeah.
I studied Torah, and we would dissect all the lines of text. And if you look at one line in the Torah, it says, "Don't boil a kid in its mother's milk." That one line drove the entire dietary lifestyle of the Jewish population, which is don't mix milk and meat. Okay? Which I do, but that's not the issue.
Right.
The other part is kashrut, which is being kosher and lifestyle, talks about how you raise and slaughter the animals. Now, Brian, if you're stressed out, what happens to your body from a chemical standpoint? This is your gig, right? Cortisol.
Yeah. So your cortisol levels are increasing and your brain is slowing. It's more difficult to process blood flow. It diverts and doesn't take as good a care of how the systems work efficiently, generally speaking.
Now think about if you're eating an animal that's been treated poorly, their body's full of those chemicals.
Yes, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It's more than you are than what you eat. You are what they eat.
Yeah.
So how are they being raised? How are they being treated? Because you're eating an animal that's been abused, and you're also now consuming their traumas.
Right. That is super interesting, Jodi, because excuse me. One thing I'm horrible at is seeing great documentaries or reading great books or whatever. I literally have a gift for not being able to remember anything about the resource as it relates to referring it to someone else. I can't remember the title. I can't remember who's in it. That's just a thing with me. I'm horrible at it, right?
I can't remember a musician's name for the life
Oh
of
my gosh. I feel like such a dodo sometimes. Okay, but there's you probably find it on Netflix. There was this really great documentary, a scientific based study that they did that proved that how when you speak positively, encouraging to, for instance, a glass of water, a plant.
Yes.
You see that one? That's some fascinating stuff, man. Blew my mind.
Okay, you got me here. Hold on.
Yes, this is incredible stuff.
It's better. I don't have it here. I'm almost tempted to go get it. It's called the Healy.
Yeah.
Healy is we're experimenting with this right now. So the Healy is an FDA cleared device that uses frequency medicine to help the body heal itself. Okay. Yes. So I also have a Tower Garden from Juice Plus, right? And it's a Tower Gardens. They grow hydroponically all your vegetables and fruits indoors.
Right.
So people are now using the Healy, setting up the Tower Garden as a client, the plant as a client,
right?
Running the Healy, the frequency on the plant.
It's amazing stuff.
Yes!
I was blown away, dude. I literally, I'm not the guy that prays over a glass of water before I drink it. I'm a pretty.
But maybe we should.
Exactly. Hey, I don't know. But I do, when I drink a glass of water, I often go, man, I'm thinking as I'm swallowing, this is such good, pure, fresh water. I'm so grateful it's cleansing my body. I'll have that quick thought and
That's
go about my
rare.
business.
That's
But
rare.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's so amazing. And so I link that back to what you shared about the animals, because if if they're not having positivity spoken to their life, they're not treated well, encouraged, all those kind of things, loved, touched, held, hugged, all that kind of stuff, then I do believe in spiritual transference. I believe that you're essentially transferring those negative vibes, those negative feelings, those negative spirits to self once you consume that meat. I think there's something to it, and again, I'm not
Issues.
a genius and an expert on it, but there's something there, man.
It's just logical.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be an expert. There is an expert, and I'll see if I can look it up.
Okay.
I bought the book. I still haven't read it because I get it. So, but I still need to read it so I can quote it. But it's called "The Issues Are in the Tissues." Let's see.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
and let me see who the author is, so people who do have time to read this can. The author is Denise Labarre, L-A-B as in boy, A-R-R-E. And actually, what I'll do is I'll put it. I'll see if I can put it in the comments here. I don't want to plug Amazon, but that's apparently I bought it almost a year ago and I still haven't read it. Shame on me.
Yeah.
Because it goes,
I'm the worst about that. Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Have you read any good books lately, Brian? No, but I've got 3 sitting right by my bed, and they're really good, I hear. I'm gonna get to them.
I read 10 books last year, so it's
Good
not
for
that I
you.
read. I read so much, it's almost crazy. Apparently, okay, so the link went on to the Google, but it won't go on Facebook. So if anybody's looking for the link to The Issues Are in the Tissues, you can find it on the YouTube channel in those comments, but you won't see it in the Facebook comments.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. And so this all goes back to, for me, kindness, gratitude, positivity. This is no longer Zig Ziglar stuff. This is real evidence-based scientific research that proves the effects of gratitude, kindness, and positivity on the way the brain is wired, fires, and operates in general. And so for me, case closed. I don't need to know anymore.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know people who don't operate with gratitude. They think that they do. But gratitude is not, so can we define gratitude for a little bit? Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes, and it's a good start, don't get me wrong, they'll say, oh, so thank you. I'm grateful for this or whatever. Right. But unless you show up being grateful through your actions, and they are not just words, and you are present with the people who you are grateful for all the things that they do.
Yeah.
Just saying thank you is not gratitude. That's lip service.
Right. Right. I mean, that's appreciation.
Thank you.
That's just appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
So gratitude for me is at all times recognizing, no matter how awesome I think I am and how smart and good looking and fast and fit and healthy, whatever it is, no matter what I think about all that stuff, gratitude is based in my sincere core belief that absolutely none of it would sustain long-term without the supports I have, period. That's it for me.
That's
I know
a better definition than what I had.
You take my supports away, Brian does not exist on the optimal level that he's operating on right now. It will not happen. It's not possible.
Yeah. And so actually, that's spot on. I was explaining to this friend of mine, there's a person who was in my life, who's no longer, he kind of went to the dark side. Right. But when he was in my life, he was instrumental in my health journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I still today pray for him and thank God, because without what he did, despite the fact that he went to the dark side, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right, right.
And so even the people who did bad things to me, like the doctor who misdiagnosed me, I am grateful, because without that misdiagnosis,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be where I'm at.
yeah.
And when you shift that, like, I don't know, are you familiar with Dr. John DeMartini? He's a human behaviorist.
Sounds super familiar.
Well, he's an internationally renowned author. He started off as a doctor of chiropractic. Actually, you should just tune into any of his podcasts on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's out of Australia now.
Okay.
I don't know where he's living. He has an office in Houston, but I trained under him. And he helped me to look at the gifts inside of every awful thing that ever happened to me. Right? So when you can look at the things that didn't work out and see the gift that's there,
Yep.
that's where the power is, because you stop resenting people.
Yep. That's it.
And going back to the cancer conversation, which I think now is the appropriate time to share this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was watching the docuseries, and this was not the first one, this was the second year, I think it was 2016. What they said on stage was this: you can eat all the organic food that you want, and you can eat the clean water. But if you don't take care of what's going on between your ears, you're still going to get cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
What you're doing so important.
The brain is the center of it all. It runs the show. And so to ignore that just doesn't make good sense. I was talking to my daughter last night about the move, and she's a little nervous. She's 11, and we were talking a little bit about that, and big conversation about a lot of stuff. But the bottom line was, going along with what you're saying, is I told her, I was like, sweetie, it literally, what happens to you in life is so much more, it's so much less important than what you do with it. Because there's nothing you can do to control what's going to happen to you. The world happens. And when you die tomorrow, the sun will still come up at the same time, and everybody's going to go to the same job and probably eat at the same place. Everything just continues to happen. The world's not going to stop moving, right? So that's an inevitable. The quicker you get comfortable with change and transitioning and understanding the power in response,
Yes.
and the need to avoid reaction, that's where the power is. There's a difference in response and reaction, and I really teach my kids heavy response. Stay away from reaction.
I'm getting a blanket because it got cold. So go ahead. Talk about the difference between responding and reacting, because it's a huge distinction.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah, and so one thing that I really push on my girls is that difference in response and reaction. And I believe the way I share it with them is that response is more thought-provoked, it's more objective, it's more balanced and planned, methodic, if you will. Reaction is more emotional based. It's more immediate, in the moment, got to do something now. And I teach my clients and my kids as well that when you really sit down and think about it, there's very little in life that you have to do right now. I mean, right now stuff is like, I got a gun to my head and I'm being held hostage. That's a right now situation to me, right? Otherwise, everything in life is waiting for a response. It doesn't require a reaction. Reaction is survival mode type stuff. So, I always teach them, if you're reacting, the first question is, am I in danger? If you're not in danger, you got the wrong response in the wrong situation. You got to adjust a little bit there, right? You're in emotion too much. Get back in your head and let's think this through. So that's the difference for me.
That's huge. So I'm going to apply that concept to people that especially people now are working at home, right? And they feel like they don't know how to stop work at their cutoff time, whether
Yeah.
5, 4:30, 5:30, whatever.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of the people are in reactive mode,
Mm-hmm.
fear mode. I'm going to lose my job. I'm in danger of losing my job if I don't work my poor body into the ground.
Yeah.
Like, really, people.
Yeah, and it's so I'm a big proponent of that. It's so systematic, right? So sure, if you've got someone that's operating in that level of intense emotion on a daily basis, probably there's something that needs to be addressed with them individually. I get that. There are two sides to every pancake, right? So you got to look on both sides of the fence to find balance. I get all that. However, I do believe in the world that we live, a lot of employers are not providing a safe place for people to work. And what I mean by that is they're not being supported in a positive, encouraging way. And we are so America is one of the countries that are not in the norm in this area. We're so dead set on an 8-hour day and work, and oh, you got your job done. You got your work requirements done in 4 hours. That person should be handed 4 hours of PTO and sent on their way. In my opinion, you got the job done, you did it well, move about your business, right? Not well, you didn't work 8 hours, so you got your work done in 4, but we want you to work another 4. Well, what that induces is laziness, because what happens is throughout the day, the person knows they can get it done in 4 hours. So 4 of those hours, they're hanging out watching TV at home. And then you get mad because they're hanging out watching TV and you created the whole situation, right? So in all these other countries that I've studied, their full-time work week is 32 hours or less, and they give you forever off from maternity and paternity leave, for kids. And it's we really need to look to follow that model and be more supportive of employees and just encouraging them and not making such a big deal about these structured criteria that we have in place in order to feel like we have control over other people's workday. I just don't think micromanagement is
guidelines,
effective.
right, Brian? Guidelines, yes. not rules.
Yes, thank you. Great way to put it.
And I'm glad here's the thing. That is one of the reasons that I have a focus, not just on individuals, but really at corporations. I really like to serve corporations.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I like to serve corporations, one, they have the largest population where we can have an impact.
Right.
And it's where people spend most of their day.
Yeah.
And so if I can support people in a large setting and get community thought, community rethinking,
right,
about prioritization, rethinking about starting from heart, right? If you can speak from heart, even if you're in a business situation and you can love on people, you don't have to be in love with them, but just love on people, right?
Yeah. It's a soul level thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
I go right along with what you're saying, that whole village concept, the community being the strength. I put a post up recently on LinkedIn about recovery schools and how it's important to teach a lot of these emotionally based techniques and the wisdom and knowledge in those areas to couple with what we teach in schools right now. Maybe even some of it we don't need to, but as far as what we teach right now. But I do think that there's emotional and relational components should be a required part of schooling for folks in the United States. And I got a lot of comments of like, oh, it's never going to happen. Oh, it's not that big of a deal, this and that. And I don't know about you, but it concerns me that I have less control than I'd like over what my kids are exposed to most of their life, right? So if you think you're raising your kid, you're really not as much as you think, because they spend 8 hours a day approximately at a school with a teaching staff that you totally trust your life with, hopefully, and they're doing a good job. You get your kids on the weekends and a couple hours in the evening when they're doing their homework and eating dinner before they go to bed. that's not raising your kid. Your kid is largely molded by the schooling that they receive for 18 years.
Yeah.
And then they go off to college and move out. Then you have no control, right? So it makes sense to get them in a school, an academic curriculum that's going to give them the most well-rounded approach. And I know we have private schools and charter schools and all this kind of thing that help a little bit with that. But my whole point is the public school system, I think we could do a better job.
Oh, all day. I'm going to pick up on that. I'm going to have us go to commercial real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm going to take us out of here. So if you need to use the men's room, like maybe we'll have a screen up there.
Okay. This is a restroom break. All right.
Also restroom break. Okay. Hold on.
$7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host, or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Are you having challenges with your 2-year-old who has suddenly discovered they have a free will and has learned to tell you no? Are you having challenges with your 8-year-old who has suddenly learned how to tell untruth in order to avoid punishment? Are you having challenges with your 13-year-old who has suddenly realized that they know everything and you know nothing? Parenting is a challenge. Our children are here to learn and grow in understanding so that they can reach their highest creative potential and contribute to a new world of peace and harmony. To do our part as their teachers and protectors takes wisdom, patience, and skill. Join me, Naima Latif, and facilitator Mark Shahid on the Parenting and Family Reconstruction Learning Lab every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Time on American Muslim 360 Blog Talk Radio. Tune in at www.blogtalkradio.com/American Muslim 360. Call in with your questions at 515-605-9891. That's 515-605-9891. Spare the rod. Love the child.
Hey, it's time to take charge of your health. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach, and every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I'm here on the Female Solution to empower you to make choices that will assist your evolution to abundant health. I'm also blogging every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at Soul Purpose Healing, where I bring you a spiritual chiropractic adjustment to bring you back into alignment with our Creator's love, compassion, and wisdom. Join me every Friday morning at 8 a.m. and Sunday evening at 8 p.m. for a time of unity, enlightenment, and love vibration. Shalom.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses. And we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
With a Place of Peace pop-up from Suson Essentials, you were able to increase productivity, mental acuity, leaving you with higher energy and peace in just 20 minutes. We pop up at our office or yours.
All right, we are back.
All right.
So we were talking about the school system.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Barrington High School.
Yeah.
Well, because what they did is they changed out the food.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah, they went responsibly produced.
Yes. You know, that's I was going to mention that as well. I was looking over some of my notes and I thought that this is something I got to mention. You know, that whole reaction response you know, situation and what direction to go and when, that is inevitably affected by what we put in our bodies. You know, the research shows anxiety and depression and stress levels increase when we eat processed meat, fried foods, refined cereals, candy, pastries, high fat dairy products. Those are going to increase our anxiety and depressive symptoms and probably some mood issues as well, generally speaking. So when you got a bunch of kids at a school that you're trying to keep in order and keep focus on school, it makes no sense to feed them the things that are going to heighten all the areas of their system you don't want heightened while they're in a learning environment. So it makes perfect sense to feed them good stuff, right?
Yeah. So I'm actually typing something in here. It doesn't look like I'm paying attention to. I am.
No, you're fine. It's just
Go ahead. Yeah.
it's just crazy to me. Like even saying it out loud right now, I just want to shake my head because I feel like we create problems for ourselves sometimes. It's the same with addiction. You know, oh, I'm so stressed out, I'm gonna go have 6 beers because I'm upset with my wife or this happened or that happened. That's a reaction. That's not a response. A response is 1 drink at a celebration for your birthday or whatever. You know, 6 beers because you're ticked off. That's going to create a chemical reaction in your body that you're going to have to deal with the aftermath on. You've just created a twofold issue when you didn't have to at all, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There was a study that was done in the 60s.
Okay.
Brain allergies. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not. I want to hear about it.
Okay. So what it said was you took a group in this hospital.
Mm-hmm.
All were diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia. And they just basically drew a line in the sand. Half of you no longer get grains.
Okay.
Symptoms went away.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm putting on the ticker here.
I gotcha. I see it now.
So 1 second. That's not the one I wanted. Sorry.
Oh. Don't send anything to that email. No, don't.
Well, actually, no, I do want to that email. So I'm trying to get, there we go. Here it is. So if you want the study on brain allergies, just so you can read about it, you can read and find out that it really gives evidence and credence to what we're saying. And I'm going to also add to that. One of the things that I found out why I had symptoms of bipolar was because I had food sensitivities.
Yes.
Remember, so I work with a company out of Florida,
right?
Cell Science, and they did a food sensitivity test for me, and I did it for 5 years in a row. And what was really cool is I found out which specific foods for me, unique to me, which were like garlic and chocolate and apples and avocado and blah, 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 blah. I was having food sensitivities too, which causes inflammation in the brain.
Right.
Inflammation in the entire body. So what they're doing is measuring inflammation against 450 foods. I removed the foods and things happened. Dropped 92 pounds. I ate a lot of food. I just removed those foods. And my symptoms went away.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
You're a cancer victim, right? Or survivor.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I don't like using the word victim. I was like, eh. If you have cancer symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
or you have emotional symptoms, or you have symptoms that won't go away,
Right.
if you're not taking a look at your food supply and going clean, right, sugar free, then start now.
Right. Exactly. And that's a good point, because one thing that when I started making this more of a priority in my life, it was really overwhelming. Honestly, people like yourself that know so much about nutrition are kind of intimidating to me, because I know the power in it, and it's like, wow, that's so much information. I got to play catch up. I'm a collector, a gatherer of information, right? So if there's an area that I know nothing about, I want to submerge myself in it and completely saturate myself with information in that area. I love doing that, and it becomes an obsession almost. And so when I started really thinking about and looking at these things related to nutrition, it was very overwhelming. And I've gotten to the point where I just want to encourage folks that it's not about becoming a Jodi nutritional expert. It's about making it a point to be aware, just be aware and monitor more closely what's going on with your body. What is your body communicating to you? For example, I it was probably 2 years ago. Like I said, I work out fairly regularly, more regularly some weeks than others. Right? When you have kids, things happen, right? All right. So try to work out about 3 times a week. And I was having a lot of pain in my joints from working out and stuff. And my recovery time was pretty slow to overcome some of those pains. And I was getting injured more often. And I did some research. I knew at the time, this was years back, I knew at the time I was drinking a bit, and so I knew there was some toxins, right? Some chemicals, and the alcohol and stuff was causing. I know that stuff collects in the joints.
Totally.
So I knew that was a part of it. So I knew that, and I'd go through periods where I would stop drinking to see the response and stuff, and it would subside a bit, but not totally, and it just was confusing for me. This is what I found out. Again, submerge myself in the information. I want to know. I want to figure this out. Every problem's got a solution. Let's go. Right. So that was Brian. I start looking into this stuff. I was taking omega-369 because I heard great things about it.
Yeah.
And what do we? Yeah, you know where this is going, right?
I do.
So which one is it, 6 or 9? That if your body naturally creates it. So if in excess amounts, it causes inflammation.
Well, it's not balanced. The omega-6 and omega-3 has to be a specific ratio, which don't ask me to pull that out of the air.
Right.
Like, or, but there's a ratio.
Yeah.
It's a challenge for people.
Yeah. And so the 9 was in there somewhere too, if I remember correctly, but
that part, but go ahead. Yeah.
In excess amounts, it causes inflammation. And so I took that out of my diet. I stopped taking omega-369. I take omega-3s now, but not 369. And inflammation completely subsided within a week.
Yeah. And I'm looking this up, and I can't do it too quickly.
Yeah.
Here, omega. So what are the benefits of omega-369? Mental health, heart health, healthy weight, reduce inflammation, supports brain development and brain health. Well, and here's what people need to know. It's like everybody's body is so unique, and that's why testing is so important.
Yep.
Because I, participate as my own patient,
Right.
my own, I find out where I'm nutrient deficient, so I'm not making a guessing game.
Right.
Which also supports my brain health and supports my my emotional health.
Right.
And then the other thing is, for those people who have a threatened immune system, I do a test for which antioxidants are most responsive to my body.
Yep.
So you can take. And the only thing I don't like about this test is it's, turmeric for me came back, which is, nature's superfood.
Yeah, man, that stuff is good.
But it came back on my body as not effective.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you it's not true.
Okay.
And I went back to the company that did it, and I said, you need to pair the turmeric with black pepper, because turmeric is not effective unless it's paired with black pepper, which increases the bioavailability in the body by 2,000%.
Really?
Yeah, you don't need a lot of it. You need a pinch of black pepper
Interesting.
to activate the turmeric. And so I said, so the test doesn't mean squat.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That is another big piece. I got to say this because I learned this too with my wife going through all that she went through with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
We got to learn to be better advocates for ourselves.
That's what I learned.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. And I have to tell you, one of my personal struggles is that I really struggle with the people that are close to me that choose not to advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how to manage that.
Right.
Because, you know, I can't make them advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from a counselor point of view, there's so many aspects, so many things that go into that, the why behind that, you know. But I agree with you. That is a frustration of mine too. Sometimes when you have folks that aren't engaged to better their lives, they're just kind of comfortable where they're at, and there's reasons for that. They're not bad people, and
No, they're not.
sort of right. So, but it's just areas that they've never maybe been guided in exploring, and you know, just like this is across the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wherever, you know, like we're all working from home a lot right now. I still go on site to my my employer, you know, a couple times a week. And when I arrive at the building, there's a whole bunch of people there. Some of them are clients and some of them are employees. We're all in the same building. And for 8 hours, we operate as a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't all take the same route to get to work. But we got there. Right? And life's kind of like that. Just fine. We need you to show up at work, Brian, Monday through Friday, and here's your times. All right. I don't care how you get here. Just make sure you get here at this time and you don't leave until this time. Outside of that, I don't care what route you take. Right. And so if we take a route to work that is, you know, peppered, we'll say, you know, right along with the turmeric, it's peppered with accidents and cops and, you know, people getting pulled over and crime and all this kind of stuff, that's going to affect our efficiency, to get to work, right? So life's a lot like that. Finding the path that is going to get you where you want to go in the time needed in the most efficient way to get you operating at your most optimal level, right? So if you're getting to work on time and you're leaving on time, then you're getting the most out of your day. You're most effective with clients because you're there. You get all, I mean, we could break this down forever, but life's a lot like that. Finding those right routes to get to where you want to go and doing it most efficiently so you can operate most optimally.
What about looking at different routes to get to work, right? Like, so prior to being into wellness, I was in finance for 30 years. And so my background's really all been about numbers.
Right.
But it works because numbers don't lie.
Right.
They can be twisted. So
numbers are your friend.
So I started off, you know, I was, you know, part of my time was in corporate, part of my time was facing customers.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about the facing customer component.
Yeah.
What's in a bank? There's a vault, right? There's money. There's cash to be had.
Yeah.
People have, some of the people that are coming to work have keys to the bank and access codes to the vault.
Mm-hmm.
You can never access a vault unless there's somebody else to access it with you. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go back to your comment, how are you getting to work? They always said, make sure you take a different route to work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't want people following you and knowing your path.
Interesting.
Right. So they taught me early on, because I started working at a bank early, like in high school, to be agile, think outside the box. If it's not working, do something different.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just right along with us. I just did a webinar recently on the a winning mindset. And the three aspects that I covered were be flexible, be resilient, and be a finisher, and offered some evidence-based research to support how certain aspects of that affect the brain and all that sort of thing. The be flexible part, they found in research, in order to keep the brain young, to stimulate creativity, to improve efficiency, to improve problem solving, that's exactly what's suggested is every couple weeks, take a different route to work. You don't want to get your brain too much in a rut, because when you're in a rut, it becomes muscle memory. It becomes second nature. And in real time, you're kind of lazy because your brain just drops into autopilot and does what it does, right? So your brain is kind of taking a nap while the rest of the world is happening, right? So doing these different things creates that flexibility, stimulates the mind, stimulates creativity, problem solving. So now I'm doing all these things on the whim, on the fly, I should say, because that's fun and it creates flexibility. But then when I'm tossed in a situation that I'm not familiar with, my brain is going to feel perfectly comfortable because it's used to finding solutions to new situations. So it's a really healthy thing as far as keeping brain age down, keeping the brain young.
I agree completely. I have two birds, a white-bellied kayik and a sun conure, and you may not realize how this relates.
Okay, I'm ready. Bring the birds in.
I wish I could. They're downstairs.
Oh.
But birds have more anxiety than most animals on the planet. Okay. And they often say, make sure that you keep their environment the same. Okay. It gives them a sense of calm and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, my life when I got my two babies, and I've had birds literally since I was 7 years old. I'm going to be 58 this year. So it's not like, so I decided to get out of the box.
Yeah.
And
get out of the cage.
Choice in the matter. And what?
I said, get out of the cage.
Get out of the score, which they don't sit in the cage.
Okay.
They have their own room.
Oh, Jodi, what are we going to do with you?
I know. I'm a glutton for my babies. So when I was disabled, which was for 3.5 years, I ended up having to do an emergency move. And then because it was a temporary emergency move, there were multiple moves after that. That doesn't provide a sense of structure for the bird, does it?
Right.
So I found a different way to provide them with what I call psychological safety. And I showed them your environment can continue to change, every 6 months or a year or what have you. It was a lot of change, Brian. But I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm your foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a great model for us as people, because one thing I found when my wife passed away, when I was in the thralls of addiction, I found out real quick when I needed my supports the most, there were none, because I was all about Brian and using for so long. I hadn't put any time into developing that support system. And so when it came time to tap into those folks, there were nowhere to be found. So now I'm in a place where I put so much time into taking care of my tribe and making that a focus and a primary drive for me on a daily basis. And, if I can keep that stable and strong, that's that gratitude part, right? Because if my tribe is in place, I got a good tribe. Let me tell you, I got good folks, good hearts, good souls. They're strong, solid, right? If I got those folks in my life and I keep that solid and I keep that as my focus, man, the world can happen. It's going to happen. Don't matter, because I got my core. My core is solid, right? I'm seeing so much value in that now that I'm living a different life than I did back then, when I wasn't taking good care of myself or those folks around me. And It's so important. It's so important.
I agree. You got to plant those seeds
Yeah.
to till the garden, watch the flowers grow.
Yeah.
And the flowers and the plants aren't going to grow unless you pollinate them,
Yep.
sing to them, you spend time with them, you love on them. And that garden is your tribe.
Yeah.
Who are you taking care of? Are they taking care of you back?
Yeah.
Are these the people you're supposed to be taking care of?
Right.
Are they there just using you? Are you
Yep.
just using them? What's that relationship really look like?
Yeah.
And one thing I would like for you to talk about, I know we were going to talk more about food, and we have talked about food, but one of the things that I think is critical is about self-awareness, and we touched on it. How do you support people in understanding how to be self-aware?
Yeah.
Like someone says, well, I don't know, how am I supposed to be self-aware?
Mm-hmm.
How do you respond?
Yeah. So with with clients, I walk them through excuse me. I walk them through a bit of just modeling that when they for instance, so when a client comes in for individual therapy and we're talking about their week, you know, I might grab a couple of incidents throughout the week, couple situations that I just kind of break down, like, okay, in that moment, what was going through your head? How were you feeling? What was going on around you? You know, and asking those sorts of questions in the session helps model to them how to do that individually, internally, when they're in those situations after they leave. So really modeling that and helping them understand what relevant questions are important, and finding out what is impacting me right now and why, and how can I best respond.
So that's great. So when you're in a session, you're asking them how they feel when that's happening, what's going on around them, so that they can model it back
Yeah. Yeah.
for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's as simple as just being aware enough to sitting at a stoplight. Sometimes
Mhm.
I will, you know, it's very common for me, and I would assume most folks. You're at the stoplight. What are the first thing we do at a stoplight? We pick something up. We pick our phone up. We maybe change the channel on the radio. We're always fiddling.
Yeah.
Very rarely just sitting. And so sometimes that fidgeting is to an extreme not meaning I'm all over the place, but I'm doing it more often, I notice, than normal. And so in those moments, I think it's important. I've found value in just stopping, and I'll put my phone down and just think, why am I so anxious right now? And take a couple deep breaths and make a point to recognize that is a really big tree over there. Man, it's sunny. It hasn't been sunny for like 3 days in Michigan. Winter. Wow. You know, and get more internal, because when I'm fidgeting, I found oftentimes I'm allowing external to run my show. And that's not a good place for me to be.
Yeah. So when you're letting external run your show, that's when you're not protecting your energy. And actually, on the next show, there's a group of us that are teaching people how to protect your energy field, which
Right.
doesn't cost you anything but some time.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, it's the same thing as I do. I love your draw to analogies. I love that, because I'm the same way. You tossed out a couple really good ones today, but you know, I'm the same way. There's a reason why in football they have offense and defense. There's balance to everything. Do you ever see a game where they put both offenses on the field at the same time, or both defenses? No, it doesn't happen.
I don't
There's
think so. And I'm not
right.
a football fan, but it doesn't logically make sense to me.
Right. Exactly. Balance in everything. And you know, if I'm always, you know, in coaches, when they're on offense, they're planning their offense. They're not planning their offense according to what the defense is going to do. You know, offense, being on the offense,
Right.
that means being aggressive. Being on the defense is more oftentimes, okay, let's wait to see what they do. We have plays to respond.
Mhm.
Right. And so life is a lot like that. You know, being knowing where that balance is, and recognizing that there's times that you need to be on the offense and taking good care of yourself, and times you got to be guarded.
Well, and it's interesting when you're playing football and you're on offense. See, if I'm on offense and if I was playing football, I don't have an opportunity to ask questions.
Right.
I'm just hitting some guy or passing a ball.
Right.
But when you apply that to life outside of football,
Yeah.
I think offense could look like putting on the pause button and asking questions instead of assuming what all those answers are going to be.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who are very strategic in their planning, which, you know, I'm a strategic planner, but they come up with all the answers that everybody's going to give them. And I'm just like, well, how about just asking?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
20 minutes figuring out what everybody's going to say and do, but just ask the question.
Yeah. And just like in football, we're allowed to call audibles, right? So Tom Brady gets in the huddle and he calls a play. Everybody lines up on the line and they're ready to run that play that their quarterback called, right?
Okay.
But whenever you see quarterbacks behind the center about to hike the ball, a lot of times they're calling the play and they're looking around, they're checking the field out, and sometimes they'll take a step back and they'll start pointing. They're calling an audible. Audible means, hey, we're changing the play. I see the setup with the defense. We're doing something different because if we run the play that I just called, they're going to catch us. We're not going to make any ground on this play. Forget that. All right, new play. And then you'll see a lot of the players shift for a couple seconds, and then he hikes the ball and they run the play. That's an audible. And we're allowed to do that in life. You know, you go into every situation with a plan, but good to ask questions to get more information. That's power. That's going to give you insight and knowledge in the situation so that you can have the most accurate, most effective response. That's that audible sometimes that you just you got to make a gut call.
Yeah, and pivot.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's 8:34. We didn't do commercials at 8:30, and we actually have a caller. Yay!
All right.
So the caller that's on the line, hold on. We're going to run a couple commercials real quick, and we're going to come back.
I'll be here.
All right. We like having you here. I know I do.
This has been fun.
Yay. Okay, so let's see. Here we do that. Oh, we're just having too much fun with there we go.
Jodi Suson of Suson Essentials is certified by the #1 functional medicine doctor on plant-based healing essential oils, which are revolutionizing the way we manage our well-being. Schedule today to take control of your health.
Oh, wait.
It's my pleasure to introduce our next American.
Sorry, wrong one. We're still looking for the right. Here we go. We'll try that.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world. Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/TheMediaConnectionTV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
There are people who choose to make a positive difference in the world. Our job is to bring you their story to motivate you to do the same. Join us each week, host John Alexander and Naima Latif, as we bring you the educators, entertainers, elected officials, religious leaders, and community activists whose works are transforming this world. Find out how you can make a difference too. Be inspired. Watch The Media Connection. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Tuesdays at 12 noon on cable TV, Channel 19 in Chicago. In other cities, check your local cable list. We all say we would like to be wealthy, but wealth isn't determined by how much money you have. Wealth is determined by your power to define what money is. The dictionary defines money as something used as a way to pay for goods and services and to pay people for their work. So how would you like to have access to an unlimited source of money? Money that is not taxed by the government. Money that increases as you share the opportunity with others. Money that you can use to pay for goods and services and pay people for their work. I'm talking about Bitcoin. It's the future of independent wealth building. Bitcoin is the new money that you control. Get started building your wealth. Call 312-849-3456. That's 312-849-3456.
With a simple blood test and food plan, Suson Essentials will help your business, your family, and you eliminate toxins and create a step-by-step plan to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Click here to learn more.
Hi, I'm Dr. CJ of Valona Health, where we combine orthopedic manual therapy and neuroscience to treat the whole person. Health tip for the day is keep it moving. Doesn't matter how, just keep it moving doing something you enjoy. Walking, dancing, rolling on the floor with your dogs or kids, really anything. The body craves movement to keep the bones, joints, and the muscles happy. Even our mental health and internal organs and digestive system rely on our movement. Thanks for being a part of the Higher Learning Network on the Female Solution.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on Higher Learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered. Stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on Higher Learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
Suson Essentials is re-engineering what health looks like by leading you to the best wellness initiatives in the world. Start your coaching plan today and create a new paradigm of health. Click here to learn more. Okay, we are back, and I'm going to bring on our first caller, which is 773-366. Let's see. Grand Rising, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, Grand Rising. This is Naima from Chicago, and I'm just blown away by today's show. Just fantastic information. And I tell you, I'm still reeling from that Pepsi story about the formula and the addiction. I'm just blown away. But, you know, I got a question for the
Brian?
Wow. You know, I got a question for Brian. There's just so many that I know are struggling with sugar addictions and every other kind of addictions from food and probably adverse food reactions. And of course, you know, they're getting advice to take all kind of pills and other pharmaceuticals. But if they could just change their food habits. So I have a question for Brian. Like when someone is, of course, addicted because of high sugar intake and all of that, and they change their diet, how long does it take for the brain to release that biochemical reaction that comes when you're addicted? And how long does it take for the body to perhaps detox? Do you have an idea in mind? Is like maybe a 30-day period or 60-day period or, you know, a couple of years? I mean, is there a way to gauge how long it would take for them to get back to balance if they do make a radical dietary change?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for calling. I appreciate that. Good question. So it really depends on the substance as it relates to how long detox is and the effects. You know, you got the blood-brain barrier, and that affects how quickly substances affect us as humans and how they're consumed. There's all kinds of elements, factors that play into how we respond to what we put into our body. But as it relates to sugar, That's a pretty quick one from what I understand. Again, I'm not a professional in this, expert in this area. That's Jodi's field. But my understanding is sugar burns out of the body pretty quick. So the turnaround time is pretty quick. And I like that you mentioned a lot of folks are saying, oh, get on these pills and this and that. And, in the field of addiction, the first thing we do is find the baseline. We detox. We get everything out of the system. We find out where the baseline is and we start over. And so that would be my recommendation for anybody in a situation that is looking to change their diet. Get on a detox of sorts with some professional guidance and find your baseline and then start to rebuild.
Yeah, so great question. And can I add to that, Brian?
Yeah, for sure.
So detoxing, first of all, low and slow, always low and slow, because you don't want to overtax your organs.
Right.
So after you've gone through the detox, the BOD, which is the bioacoustical utilization device, this does a reset on the neural network of the brain, and it uses sound frequency. And for the viewing public, I'm just putting the headset on, right? And you have 4 dials. 2 dials are for volume, and the other 2 set the frequency, and the other one sets the disruption. And basically, when we were talking earlier about the issues are in the tissues, this is resetting that cellular memory.
Very cool.
Yeah. And you can see a therapist for this, because a lot of therapists have these. You can buy one I sell them. And not that I'm trying to do a commercial, but you got to give people access to what they need.
Sure.
You can buy one for at home. Now, I want to tell you that I use this with my therapist probably from, 2014, 15, 2000, for 3 years, 3.5 years. And then when I went back to work and I had a flexible spending plan, I bought mine retail using my flexible spending dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
How much do those things run?
$500.
How much?
$500.
Okay.
I mean, and this has been I've had mine since 2017, 4 years. There's not a day I don't use this sucker.
Yeah, they're super effective. Yeah. No, I've heard nothing but good feedback on that kind of stuff.
What's that?
I've heard nothing but good feedback on that. They're super effective.
Oh, it's amazing. People are using them for addictions and stress, and we've reversed food sensitivities. I've used it for pain. Mm-hmm. So Naima, who, by the way, is our executive producer. Okay. So to support people in keeping that addiction at bay to sugar or anything else, the BOD is really helpful. And then I want to also mention, if you're looking for a sugar substitute, there's, you can Google sugar science, I think it is, and you can look at all the 70 different names for sugar. Yeah. Because that's important. Yeah. But if you want the substitute, monk fruit. So monk fruit is 0 glycemic. It doesn't spike your sugar levels. It's not addictive. And, look, I tend to have a sweet tooth. So I want some sweetener in my Not Your Mama's hot cocoa. I add a little monk fruit.
I love it.
Does that answer your question, Naima?
Yes, thanks a lot. I'm sharing this show with all of my friends and associates who, if they would just make some changes, they could restore their bodies to health. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
Advice has been given so much. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you. And we actually have 2 more. Oh, no, there's not a question mark. So we have 2 more listeners, not 2 more callers. Okay. Listening from different places, right? From YouTube. So you can listen to us on Blog Talk, YouTube, or Facebook. And then, of course, if you've missed this show, if you missed part of it, you can catch the entire replay on the Suson Essentials YouTube channel, Facebook page, or go back to the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio, and listen in there. So we have about 10 minutes left on the show. What do you think what part haven't we covered about food yet? I don't think we covered about all the foods that create calm for the body.
Yeah, so we can do that. One thing I also wanted to touch on was emotional eating. That's a big part of what I do in my field as well. And I think that, we talked a little bit about the foods that increase anxiety and depressive symptoms. And I think the emotional eating piece goes hand in hand with that. So I wanted, yeah, for sure. And so that's when the environment happens to you, right? And so then you eat for reasons other than being hungry. Essentially, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm ticked off, I'm whatever button's being pushed, you're filling that hole with some sort of substance, and in this case, food. And so when you're stressed, depressed, sad, lonely, using food as a reward can be dangerous. And so you can use that in a way that is a reward. However, you don't want it to cross over into a place where it's just emotionally triggered, right? It can be soothing and distracting in some good ways, but some people have addiction to food. So I can't go out and just have a beer. It's just my body's wired differently. It's just the way I am. You have the certain guidelines that you go by with eating as well, because you understand your body and what's going to push your buttons and what's not. And so emotional eating is in that same realm, being conscious of what exactly is going to push buttons we don't want to push and what's going to push buttons we do want pushed, so that we maintain balance and we're most effective as being who we are.
So can I add to that?
Yeah, please do.
So I'm not an emotional eater. Actually, if I get upset, I stop eating.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily good either.
Yeah. Right.
Starve your body.
Starve.
I'm not saying either one's really very good. I keep the balance. We are humans.
Right.
So, but when I was over medicated, life is a great teacher. Would you agree, Brian?
Absolutely.
You're a student of life.
Absolutely.
And I think we share that a lot. And when I was on these medications, it literally changed. And I can't talk to the science. I'm actually getting trained on brain health, but I can't talk to the science today. But I can talk to the experience.
Yeah.
And the experience was it clicked something in my brain. Whereas I would shovel food into my mouth. I'm not an emotional eater. I think it turned something off in my brain where my body didn't recognize anymore the signal of I am full. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you're on a medication and you weren't an emotional eater before the medication, and all of a sudden you can't seem to turn that off, you need to look at the medications that you're on, go back to your doctor.
Right.
Okay, go back to your doctor, talk to them about the symptoms. If you are not getting results from your doctor, look at a functional medicine doctor.
Right.
Functional medicine doctors, for those of you who don't know what that is a doctor who looks at the whole body, and they look at the food that you're eating. They don't look at yes, they listen to the symptoms, but they're going to look at the whole body so it functions from head to toe. And one of the things, Brian, that you and I haven't mentioned, because I think you and I both take it for granted, so I'm going to bring it out.
All right.
The brain, it controls the entire body, doesn't it?
It does.
And yet people have this stigma about the brain, but it's the most important organ in the body.
Yeah.
So instead of, if you break your arm, you go to the doctor, you put it in a cast. I mean, just that simple. Love your brain. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Love your brain.
Yeah.
Like, love your brain. Love your brain enough to know what works and what doesn't work. Love your brain enough to understand what you need to do. Love your brain.
Yeah. Just like we want to give folks in our lives and we want to receive resources to be the best us we can be, inside the us is your brain. that's the executive director of everything you do. And so giving your brain the resources it needs to best support you is incredibly important. Taking so I take omega-3s and vitamin D and a multivitamin. I mean, those are three of the main ones I would say in anybody's diet would be super helpful. And it's just food to the brain. It loves it. It feels good. It makes its belly full. It wakes up. You eat well. You take these supplements and you go to work, and your brain's ready to give you the support that you need all day to be the best you can be. Super important.
I agree. So one of the ways that I support my brain is with mushrooms. I'm a big mushroom fan.
Yes.
Mushrooms, and I eat mushroom powders.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list, not with me, but if you take a look at, like, I have a list of all these mushrooms and all the benefits that they have. And the one thing that they all have in common?
What's that?
They all reduce stress.
Really?
Every single one of them.
Interesting.
So that's why I created the recipe, Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa. That's why there's like no less than 6 different mushroom powders.
Wow.
And you can put it in your coffee.
Yep.
Put it in your tea. And you don't really taste it. I mean, look, I'm looking for energy, vitality.
Right.
So if it doesn't taste exactly like my normal cup of coffee.
Yeah, I can get past that.
Totally, because the payoff.
Exactly.
Is energy, mental acuity, lion's mane, which is a mushroom,
right,
is for your nervous system and for your brain health.
Yeah.
So if you are looking to optimize your brain health, get some lion's mane.
Yeah.
You have cancer, there are studies, and I can't go see a doctor because I have to say that just as an FDA compliance thing.
Right.
But reishi mushrooms, there's evidence to show, will kill off those free radicals in your body, which are creating the cancer cells.
Yeah, it's amazing. The shroom boom is upon us, and this is another conversation for another day. But with psilocybin, for instance, in treatment in therapeutic ranges, has been found to have profound effects on addiction, trauma, chronic depression, no non-responsive treatment-related depression, and with no side effects, not minimal, not a few, none, no side effects, and residual effects found in the brain months after having one session. Absolutely phenomenal what the effects that mushrooms can have on brain health and just recovery from all kinds of different diagnoses. Unbelievable. I'm curious to see where all that research goes.
Well, yeah, and I am not educated on that particular mushroom yet, and I've heard nothing but good things, like nothing but good things. What else would you like to share? I mean, you talked about the different, any other foods that you think are really good for optimizing brain health, reducing stress and anxiety?
Yeah, so a couple that I think are really important is, like I mentioned, the omega-3s, the vitamin D, the multivitamin. I think having a probiotic in the mix somewhere is nice. I think that
gut connection.
Yep, exactly. This is our second brain, the gut. And so keeping that nice and healthy, super important so that the big guy up here can do his job. And so, and little things like, we ate at Carrabba's last night. Really great food. There's a plug for Carrabba's, right? But they have, and most restaurants have options. If you want spaghetti, do you want whole grain noodles? Right?
Nice.
Right, exactly. So take these options when you have the opportunity, and it will help. Eating leafy green vegetables, and you can have caffeine. Have it in moderation, and make sure it's caffeine and not the sugar that's giving you the energy. That's what you're after. And eating regular meals. A lot of us skip breakfast. Those kind of things are all going to affect blood sugar levels, insulin levels, and going to end up affecting your mood throughout the day. So, you wouldn't try to drive to work on less than a quarter of a tank. So why do we go to work on less than a quarter of a tank? We need to make sure our body's ready for the day.
Exactly. And actually, talking about blood sugar levels, burdock root and cinnamon help manage your blood sugar levels. And I'm just going to list a couple other things. Cashews are nature's antidepressant, right?
Yeah.
So in my Not Your Mama's Hot Cocoa, I made it with cashew nut. So, and I'm kind of excited about that because I've only mentioned it 20 times in the show. But because in this show, and I haven't done it in other shows, in this show, we're really talking about food is the food will affect your mood.
Yeah.
And so given that, if you know that you can, support your mood, your emotional well-being with cashew milk or cashews, mushrooms, and you can start your day that way, score.
Yeah. It's amazing how much you can do with a handful of nuts. It really is. Like a handful of nuts. You can feel that sit in your tummy, right? And that's pure protein, and it's gonna give the brain what it needs to fire amino acids and get things rolling. And so I've got, at work, I've got a bag of nuts that I'm constantly grabbing in throughout the day just to kind of keep me going. And yeah, amazing. Nuts are a big piece, should be a big, nuts and berries, right? Big piece of our everyday diet. Yeah, absolutely.
And we're actually the show's going to end in a few minutes, and the commercial's going to start, I think, in 60 seconds. I guess it's going to start in 60 seconds. I don't know. I think I actually acted. I am. Naima, if you're still listening, you want to press that button.
Make it work.
I love that.
You're pivoting. That's what you're doing. You're pivoting right now. Good for you.
I'm leveraging my amazing tribe.
Right. And your brain is firing and having all kinds of fun right now. It's like, whoa, something new. Let's figure it out. It's super healthy, super healthy. Embrace it.
I am so grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Go to www.facebook.com.
We have to let the commercial go, but
leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimabaki.com.
I need to put your website in the chat so people can. Do you want to text that to me real quick?
Yeah, sure will.
Or your contact information so people can connect with you.
Yeah.
Ask me that, I apologize. But we'll get it in the thread.
On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyabana, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany,
Perfect. It's in the thread.
Poland, Jean Kujan, France, Merci, Spain, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Madagascar, Nigeria, Essex, South Africa, Yabonga, Senegal, Jerez, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
That's it.
Okay, and we have Be Real with Brian.
Yep.
And we just put all his contact information in there. So I am going to end the broadcast. Please join us tomorrow and at 7 a.m. We have a show every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on the Female Solution. Thanks, everyone.